what the Justice Democrats promised and what they actually delivered. So in what you were saying, Nick, about Sabi's tweet, you know what that tells me? That tells me that the Justice Democrat, whoever created this thing, they knew at that time what was the right strategy, and then it evolved into something else. Because what are some of the things they were talking about? They're talking about being militant. They're talking about building up a third party movement at the same time.
And
so they knew at that time what to do. Go ahead.
And CJ, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'll pass it back to you, but force the vote was also their idea. Mm-hmm. One of the original ideas of the Justice Democrats were having a progressive organization that is willing to deny people like Nancy Pelosi positions if they don't get their idea. It's literally in the DSA handbook. And when they rejected that, that was why many people jumped off the wagon then, because if you abandon this core principle, that means you already sold out. Like, there's not no such thing as like halfway selling out.
What happened to the Justice Democrats? How do you go from having these sort of thresholds to meet in order for this idea to sort of move forward to it gradually becoming and morphing into something else, to where now they're taking donations from people that they didn't say they were going to take donations? They're not being sort of adversarial, and they say this. They want to cozy up to the Democratic leadership in hopes that, you know, some sort of progressive policy will have be brought to light when it's never the case. So let me look at the question I have. So the question I have for here is, of all of these progressive failures that has happened, do you get a sense that a lot of people on the left are just depleted, tuned out of politics, where under normal circumstances, even if you're moving incrementally, they would stay sort of engaged? But I'm getting the sense that there's a lot of, it's a difference in when we're talking about people in the Democratic Party and who's supporting them. There's like a difference. There's less enthusiasm. There's less people buying into the progressive Democrat strategy. So again, do you think that the progressive movement, I'm talking about the rank and file, do you get the sense that they're sort of depleted, disengaged?
I think what is true, absolutely, and you alluded to this, CJ, is that there is much less enthusiasm for the Democratic Party than there might have been several years ago. That's for sure. Especially for the hundreds of thousands, not to mention probably millions of people who were really excited by the Bernie campaign and saw what happened both times, what the DNC did to his campaign. They are obviously very disenchanted. Many people probably didn't even vote in the election. Some of them ended up probably, some of the people who would have voted for Biden then ended up voting for Trump. And in fact, statistically now we know, and even some mainstream commentators, political pundits are admitting that Bernie would have won. So in that sense, yes, people are much less enthusiastic. In fact, we have seen now pretty deadly polls of the proportions of people who are willing to or excited about not excited, but open to voting independent. 45% of Democrats saying they're open to voting independent. That's pretty. I mean, if you look at a party that has been in existence for all these years, has all this power, for them to be in this situation is, if they were in any way genuine, for them it would be a real moment of realization that, we're obviously not getting it right as far as working people are concerned. But are people checked out in the sense that if there was a fight, they wouldn't be excited by it and be activated by it? No, I don't think so. I mean, obviously there are periods of lulls in social movements and all of that, and so I think we are seeing a little bit of that period, but I don't think that it's in any way permanent or in any way entrenched. So what has happened though, and this is where we have to have a sobering analysis, what has happened is that on every avenue, working people and young people are recognizing that they have been let down. I mean, they poured their hearts into the Bernie campaign. They had all this faith in AOC, and you're totally right, Nick, CJ. I mean, they actually made promises that they have betrayed. AOC did say that, so what if you're a one-term congresswoman? what matters is what you do in your one term. She also said in 2020, not that long ago, she said in any other country, Biden and I would not be in the same party. But this is the same AOC who, instead of challenging Nancy Pelosi, went to calling her mama bear. And she has given Biden cover, and also gone along with the railroad worker betrayal, there's breaking of the strike, and then ended up, actually the most astounding thing is then actually blaming the worker leaders, saying they wanted me to do this. Like, are you kidding me? So what working people are seeing is feeling blocked on every avenue. They tried out the electoral avenue, that hasn't worked for actually bringing about any change, not even $15 an hour being one, nothing really substantial being one. There was also a massive outpouring in the BLM movement, but then there was a whole series of betrayals by the BLM misleaders, as I would call them. And so there's been block after block, obstacle after obstacle for working people. So what I would characterize this as, yes, there has been a scattering of people's political excitement, ordinary people's political excitement. Some of them are disenchanted, but on the whole, the real thing that's missing is the leadership that could actually channel these the millions of people into social and labor struggle. That's what's missing, not so much whether working people are ready to fight back or not, which I believe is absolutely still true.
I actually concur with that. Is that, and I think you spoke to this earlier, that the Cornel West campaign could be that campaign that sort of invigorates those that are sort of disenfranchised or disenchanted, as you said earlier. But our second guest is here, so let's go ahead and bring in our second guest, and that is Dr. Jill Stein. How are you doing today?
Great. Sorry for the delay. Sorry. Really glad to be here.
Yeah, we appreciate
no
having you
worries.
on. This is a fantastic panel. We was having a spirited conversation about the failure of the strategy of movement building within the Democratic Party, and that's what the discussion led to. And I asked Kshama in the beginning, what would you say to people, because you like the number one villain to the Democrats, because they, especially progressives and all these people who advocate going to the Democratic Party. So what would you say to people who are progressive minded, but they said that we should organize within the Democratic Party, that we should focus within the two-party system? What would you say to those people?
So is that Kshama continuing, or do you want me to jump in here?
I want to get you in, Dr. Stein. I want to get your opinion on people that say that.
Yeah, I mean, to put it bluntly, don't waste your time. I mean, I think we've just seen confirmed over and over again that you can't have a revolution in a counter-revolutionary party, and you will be thwarted at every turn. It would be hard, I think impossible, to do better than what was done in the Sanders campaign, really in 2016, and then again in 2020, in terms of what can be done in the Democratic Party. Volunteers, money, message, field. This was as good a campaign as one can run, and he had a victory basically snatched away from him repeatedly in a rigged election that was admittedly rigged by higher ups in the Democratic Party, by their court case where they were sued at one point for basically vote rigging, and it was established that no, it's a business or a corporation or whatever it is, and that they are not accountable to voters. So in every way imaginable, Sanders did the right thing and was shut down at every turn. And where did that get us? And that's kind of like the ultimate statement about running within the Democratic Party, because when your campaign is shut down, you're left with nothing. And, you've built a castle in the sand, it washes away, it's over and done with. You have some token appointment, like Bernie Sanders being appointed to head the budget committee for all the good that did him, and, did the movement. Really nothing. It was really, everybody got sheepdog back into this predator party, and that's where they are. And I'll just add, listening to the tail end of your conversation there, at every turn, people have been really pummeled by the Democratic Party. The young people who were so enthusiastic in the climate movement and the climate justice movement that got funneled into, basically into the Democratic Party and became a kind of AstroTurf grassroots group that was funded by I don't know who, but they were certainly not going to hear anything outside of the Democratic Party. We kept trying to get these young people with the Sunrise Movement to at least consider candidates that were opponents to the Democrats. If you want to move the Democrats, you have to threaten the Democrats, and they wouldn't do it. They didn't want to be disloyal to their funders or their, whatever they were, their leaders, their great leaders. And where are they now? Biden is really leading the assault on the climate with, his giveaways to the Mountain Pipeline, the Willow Project, the Inflation Reduction Act, which is supposed to be the climate bill. It's really a fossil fuels first bill, and just like pull the wool over your eyes when you see what actually goes on there. You cannot create any kind of major renewable clean energy project until you have basically squandered 2 million acres of public lands and 60 million acres of offshore waters for the purpose of fossil fuels or nuclear. You have to do a lot of bad stuff before it begins to move forward at all on fossil fuels. It's really, that bill is a complete outrage, and it's really kind of a microcosm of the best you can expect from the Democratic Party. Things are just falling apart. Or look at, for the peace movement, the valiant progressive caucus that finally, after months, dared to, hand wring and suggest diplomacy in Ukraine. They wound up having to actually retract even that incredibly weak letter that they wrote. So what you see is what you get. Forget the lesser evil. They are not the lesser evil. The Democrats are leading the charge on war, on censorship. They have abandoned their commitments on healthcare, on Medicare for all, even on pharmaceuticals. What they exclaim and pat themselves on the back, their great pharmaceutical achievement is what? To negotiate 10 out of thousands of pharmaceuticals. They're going to negotiate 10 in 2026. Hello, who are you kidding here? It's like you have to be really brain dead or on the payroll somehow, benefiting to buy into the incredibly pathetic propaganda campaigns being waged by the Democratic Party. So, my message is the lesser evil is over. Let's get on with the greater good.